coaching team is delighted to be here in Australia. It's our first large partnership outside of United States, and so as a first, it's really important to us. We're quite excited because we realize that this concept of turning outward and being public innovators for the sake of improving conditions in communities and really getting to lasting impact and on things people care about, it's universal. It's not just US based, it's worldwide. Every place we go, communities and people who work on behalf of communities want quality of life. It doesn't matter where you live, that's an aspiration that everybody shares. So it's wonderful for us to be able to bring the Harwood practice to Australia and to work with some absolutely wonderful community practitioners that are already here. So for us, the thing that's exciting is being able to build on the wisdom and the skills that they've already got, the good work that they're already doing, and help them be more efficient and more effective in how they're bringing change to their community. And we're learning in both directions, which is fabulous.
I think what I've found really inspiring in the lab so far is the idea that at a time when there is so much pressure on government and community agencies and to provide more with less, there are some technologies and tools and skills and mindsets that we can use to really keep things moving forward for the greater good, keep things moving forward so that we continue to provide, really good quality services to people in the community so that we can find ways to innovate and continue to serve.
The discussion about being part of a community that wants to look outward and look forward to doing things with the community instead of doing things to the community.
I just think the times are right. There's whether it be an individual non-profit organisation, whether it's a government department or a member of the community, I think people are realising that they can really shape the future themselves.
Involvement of the New South Wales Government, I think that's hugely creative and innovative from a region of the state government to look at collective impact and accessing this kind of training. So that's been inspiring. Having other organisations like United Way involved and hearing all of their experiences around collective impact and previous, involvement with this training and with the Harwood Institute, as well as that the intent of mobs like Brotherhood of St Lawrence. That's fantastic. Yep.
About the other people who are here, neighbourhood houses, who so often get discounted, and yet the depth of their knowledge of their communities is inspirational. It's just amazing. I sat here today hearing them talk about what they do and how they connect and the ways in which they respond to the needs of their communities, but not just the needs, the aspirations of their communities. And we're a large organisation, and it's been possible for us to somehow slip away from some of that. So it's really been fabulous to be brought back to it.
I think for me, coming from a university and not directly from a community-based organisation, it's been terrific to be back in a room with a lot of direct service providers. It's an area that I've been involved in a lot in the past, and it's wonderful to be back and to see that the sector is actually really growing and that there are so many interested and excited people about what they do.
I've been so inspired by being here today, first of all to see so many public servants in the room and NGOs that we fund as an organisation. But I think the most innovative thing is turning outward. And so I often have felt that working in the public service, we're quite insular, introspective, we look inward rather than outward. And so it's really heartening to get the tools and skills to understand how to turn outward and actually have the community at the centre of the way we develop programs and policy.
So I guess turning outward is a concept of a mind shift, thinking differently about the way you approach working with community. I think for me, personally, it's about reflecting on working with and how we work with community, and for the organisation it's about not being insular, about putting the head above the parapet and asking the questions of community about what we should do, how we can work better to serve their purpose, but also place the organisation in a better stead for the future.
So it's a huge reminder that looking outward is not about focusing on my experience and my expertise, or what I think is my experience and my expertise. It's about understanding what's really happening out there, and then maybe drawing on your own experience while you do that, but that can't be the focus.
It's about always having the focus on the people in the community, so that everything, all our decisions and our actions are always guided by, first and foremost, those people.
And their wants and needs. So the aspirational discourse, I think, is incredibly important. And for us, representative of our consortium, it's around shifting ourselves from 8 individual organisations serving very often narrow geographies to looking outward to how best do we listen to and serve the best interests of our community.
For me, that's very much about having an outward focus to all community and all the sectors within the community. So whether it's the business community, our NGO sector, government, philanthropists and community members just generally, that we're actually keeping that whole picture in mind. And when we're working within our own organisations, being held accountable to all of those stakeholders in the broader community.
Because I work in a university, I think a lot of people see academics and places that are full of academics as very inward looking. People are so focused on their own work and their own research. For me, there's this huge reminder that as we create degrees and we write materials for people who are looking to work in the sector, it's about understanding what's being asked of them on a daily basis. How do I know what the people in this room are going to be asked to do? And then how do we design training programs and degrees and studies that really meet those needs, so that we're not sending people out with degrees who don't know about human beings, and they don't know about communities, and they don't know how they work.
The additional stuff, particularly today, I've learned around the 3 elements of public knowledge. It will really complement what we're doing in the community at the moment, trying to find hopes and dreams of different communities. It's going to be invaluable work, and we've already talking about how we're going to use that stuff come Thursday. So great.
I think that there's a whole lot of public knowledge, and now putting all of that knowledge into a more formal sense has been good for me. There's some empirical and evidence-based stuff that needs to be reinforced in our sector, so I think that's been really good, of mixing the two, public knowledge and all the formal stuff.
I think the biggest take home for me so far is the fact that we don't have all the answers, and in fact the community knows community best. Now that may seem strange, but whenever we try to work with community, it's always from a perspective that we understand our community and we know best. And I think what I've been able to learn so far is there's different tools to ensure that knowledge is correct, and that we are indeed looking at community from community's perspective and not community from our organisation's perspective.
The main thing I've learnt was the last session, which was around community rhythm. That, I think, was really important in terms of neighbourhood centres and where they're at with their community in developing that community, whether they're in the waiting period, which is waiting for something to happen, and sitting with the deficits of the community to actually moving through a very clear process of sustaining that community and growing that community. I think for me that was definitely a turning point in knowing that there's some really good work that's been done, but there's also more work to be done as well.
And this is a very different approach. It is very much about having the community in control based on their aspirations, and them taking us along with them as a resource. And I think that's quite different, and I think the potential of that is inspiring. Makes me feel all re-energised. I was doing this work in the 70s, late 60s and early 70s, and it's given me back that fire in the belly.
I've been so excited about learning about engagement rather than consultation. So really, really excited about the idea that we don't consult anymore, but we engage. And they talk about conscious community conversations. So I think most of the time we have unconscious community conversations, but now it's about how do we really listen to what the community is saying that they want, rather than giving them a choice of 7 shades of grey that we've decided are the parameters of what we're willing to fund or willing to look at. So it is a really exciting proposition. I'm so excited that LCSA have brought out Rich Harwood and the Harwood Institute's work, because we really need it in New South Wales. We need it in the NGO sector, and we need it in the government sector. So again, it's really awesome to see so many public servants and NGOs in the room that are willing to look at things a little differently. So it's a completely new way of working for us, but it's something I think lots of people in different spaces have already been doing. But now we've got the tools and a toolkit of how to actually make this happen in community.